Okay, welcome to the next edition of our Commander deck building. This one is a bit of theory building for the future set coming up in a little less than a month, actually. The Hobbit. And we are going to take a look at one of the cards revealed at MagicCon just last week, Thorin Mountain King. Now, there's a lot of ways to build this because you could build it just straight up crazy aggro. I tried to keep it like I like to do on theme. So this is Thorin Mountain King built with dwarves, hammers, armor, and then stuff for smithing, spells about fire, things like that. Like I tried to keep like treasure, fire, axes, hammers, armor, kind of the theme of a lot of the things we put into the deck. But let's read what Thorin the Mountain King does. It is a 4 mana, which you can see in the corner here. It might not be the easiest thing to see, but I love this printing of it. It's very nice. 4 mana, 3/4 with Trample. When Thorin enters, attach any number of target equipment you control to target creature you control. When one or more equipment become attached to that creature this way, that creature deals damage equal to its power to up to one target creature. Okay. So, it doesn't necessarily have to be Thorin that gets the equipment attached to him. The trample is nice for getting commander damage in, removing a blocker that might stand in your way by dealing the damage once that equipment is attached. Also very nice. And we also have a lot of other dwarves that are going to support that and potentially be good targets to attach our equipment to. So that's really going to be the goal here, is aggro with equipment. So let's take a look at what we're doing. First, we have the Axguard Cavalry. 2 mana 2/2 that you can tap and give a target creature haste until end of turn. That's just quality utility. Cast Thorin, attach a bunch of equipment to him, give him haste with Axguard Cavalry, and go out swinging to somebody who you decimated one of their blockers. Pretty good. Blazing Fire Singer is just a 3 mana 2/3 dwarf bard that enters prepared with Seething Song attached to it. So this is really just here to get us mana. You also notice right over here we have Seething Song itself. Again, nice ways to get lots of mana. That's all that's there for. Dwarven Berserker, a 2 mana 1/1. If Dwarven Berserker is blocked, it gets +3/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Pretty good. Pretty fun. The art on this is actually kind of hilarious. He looks like some sort of British punk from the 70s, going on, but he's a dwarf. But that is actually the only art available for that card, but it's pretty cool. Then we have Dwarven Blood Boiler, a 3 mana 2/2. Tap an untapped dwarf you control. Target creature gets +2/+0 until end of turn. We're going to try to have all dwarves on board, since every creature we have is a dwarf. And, yeah, we can power Thorin up pretty darn good by tapping our other dwarves. Then we have Dwarven Forge Chanter, a 2 mana 1/3 with Ward, pay 2 life, that has prowess. Just a pretty nice early game attacker. So, you're casting your equipment, getting them out, getting ready to cast Thorin. This can do quite a job, early in the game, get some early damage down. A Dwarven Grunt, a 1 mana 1/1 with Mountain Walk. Hey, they have mountains, you attach a bunch of equipment to Dwarven Grunt, they can't block it. That's the whole idea of having that there. You'll also notice there's some really good dwarves, and there's a lot of not very good dwarves at the same time. Because there's not, in mono, well, most of them are red, but they don't have quite the support that goblins do. Dwarven Recruiter, 3 mana 2/2. When Dwarven Recruiter comes into play, search your library for any number of dwarf cards. Reveal those cards. Shuffle your library, then put them on top in any order. It's pretty good. If you have a bunch of mana, like you can keep a 6 land hand if it has Dwarven Recruiter in it. That kind of thing. And just hope you draw a few of your equipments along the way. Dwarven Warriors. This is a pretty simple one. This is the reprint that they revealed coming with the Hobbit set. We'll go ahead and switch the printing and show you here what it does. It's a 3 mana 1/1. Target creature with power 2 or less can't be blocked this turn. This is a good get around. Use this as a bit of a combat trick. Not necessarily combat trick, but pre-combat trick. Where, say, the Dwarven Grunt with Mountain Walk isn't necessary to put this on. Dwarven Recruiter here's a good choice. Dwarven Recruiter is power 2. You have Dwarven Warriors. You choose Dwarven Recruiter as your target that can't be blocked this turn. Cast Thorin. Attach a bunch of equipment to Dwarven Recruiter. It still can't be blocked this turn. That applied to it before its power went up. So it's a fun little trick to get around the 2 mana part. But we're going to switch it back because it's really cool to have, in-universe printings. The only other 2 I believe we have like that are Arcane Signet and one other one, perhaps. But we'll move on. Philly and Killy, another new card. 3 mana 3/3 with haste. You can tap it to add 2 red. Spend it only to cast Dwarf, Equipment, and Saga spells. That's just about all we have, except for a few. So it's pretty darn good. But this brings up another point about this deck that may get altered, because I do expect quite a few dwarves we haven't seen in mono red to be a part of the set. So this list could change once we actually get a full set reveal, but I think it's good enough as is to not worry about that, but we don't know what we're going to see. The new dwarves might be really good, might not be. Might not be mono red for all we know. We'll see. Then we have Gimli, Counter of Kills, 4 mana 4/3 with Trample. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, Gimli deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Pretty neat. Especially, maybe somebody's running aristocrats against you and you get this out and it's like, well, they're screwed. Or they miss their life gain off of aristocrats, something like that. Gimli of the Glittering Caves, a 3 mana 1/1 with Double Strike. Whenever another legendary creature enters the battlefield under your control, put a 1/1 counter on Gimli. Whenever Gimli deals combat damage to a player, create a treasure token. Pretty good. Pretty good. Also, flavor. It's Lord of the Rings. Then we have Gloin, Gimli's dad. A 3 mana 3/3. Whenever you cast a historic spell, create a treasure token. But only once per turn. But you can tap him, sacrifice a treasure, and goad target creature. Very nice, because we're going to be casting a lot of historic spells because artifacts count as historic spells. Then we have a 3 mana 2/1 Insufferable Balladeer. It's a dwarf bard. Has Vicious Mockery. Whenever it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls can't block this turn. Very nice in a kind of Voltron-y dwarf commander thing. Going for commander damage, getting through some blocks. And you goad it. Very nice if somebody has something that they're not too keen on swinging and you want to put it out there. Somebody has an Esper Sentinel out on turn 1. Turn 2, play your Insufferable Balladeer and goad the Esper Sentinel into swinging, and somebody will definitely block that Esper Sentinel to get rid of it. That kind of thing. Magda, Brazen Outlaw. Other dwarves get 1/0. Whenever a dwarf you control becomes tapped, create a treasure token. Sacrifice 5 treasures. Search your library for an artifact or dragon. We're searching for an artifact. There's no dragons here. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Pretty nice. Pretty nice. Just searching for an artifact. 3 mana 2/3, Plundering Barbarian. Whenever it enters, you can destroy an artifact or create a treasure token. Not bad. Just utility on that one. Then we have the 7 Dwarves, a 2-mana 2/2. 7 Dwarves gets +1/+1 for each other creature named 7 Dwarves that you control, and a deck can have up to 7 cards named 7 Dwarves. Sweet. I love the combo of Dwarven Recruiter putting 7/7 Dwarves on top of your library for you to draw. Because they're so easy to cast, and then they power each other up, and you're working equipment into them too. So nice. Then we have a 1-mana 1/1 Spark Mage. Whenever Spark Mage deals combat damage to a player, you may have Spark Mage deal 1 damage to target creature that player controls. Okay. It's pretty good. This is one that can easily be replaced if I find something better in the new set. Yeah. It's an early game blocker and attacker and things like that. Then we have a 4-mana 2/2 Stormkiln Artist. Of course this would be included. Stormkiln Artist gets +1/+0 for each artifact you control, meaning Stormkiln Artist is in every artifact deck that has red. Whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, you create a treasure token. We're not going to do a lot of that, so you're not going to get that too often. But Stormkiln Artist is a nice target to equip and have a nice big attacker, because we'll have lots of artifacts. And then we have Torbran. Of course we have Torbran. A 4-mana 2/4. If a red source would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +2 instead. Just very good. Sundering Eruption is a MDFC, and you can destroy target land. Its controller may search for a basic land card, put it on battlefield tapped, then shuffle. The important part about this is creatures without flying can't block this turn. We're just trying to get through with our, heavily equipped Thorin, and somebody doesn't have any flyers. They can't block this turn. You get the idea. It's also fiery. It's an eruption, so it counts for mountain stuff. Then we have Magnetic Theft. Nice little axe on this here. A 1-mana to attach target equipment to target creature. Well, when you're playing Colossus Hammer, this gets you a 1, because there's not, other than Thorin, there's not really a lot of ways to cheat equipment attachment and Hammer of Nazan in the deck. So Magnetic Theft is a great one to be able to attach expensive costs for 1. And we have Pyretic Ritual, 2 mana, to add 3 red to your mana pool. Simple, just a little bit of ramp for a single, spell you're going to cast. Pyroblast, counter target spell if it's blue, destroy target permanent if it's blue. Pretty standard inclusion in mono red decks. You don't get a lot of counter play into red, so having one in there, especially that's on theme for what I'm doing here, is very good. Seething Song we already talked about. It's even better mana boosting. Soul's Fire, a 3-mana instant that says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to any target. Hey, if we got a bunch of equipment attached to Thorin, that power rating is going to go up, 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 and that can be a big slap into somebody's face for a lot of damage. Unexpected Windfall, pretty standard card. 4 mana, discard a card, draw 2 cards, create 2 treasures. Pretty standard. Valakut Awakening, another MDFC. So we have Valakut Stoneforged on the back. And we have on the front a 3-mana instant that says put any number of cards from your hand on the bottom of your library, then draw that many cards +1. Obviously, very much on theme. Arcane Signet, we all know this is in the new version that's in Dwarvish, so pretty cool. The Bearded Axe. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each dwarf, equipment, and or vehicle you control. For 3 mana and equip 2. If you're going to build a dwarf tribal about equipment, that's a must include. All for 35 cents. The Blood-Forged Battle Axe. Equipped creature gets +2/+0. Whenever they deal combat damage to a player, create a token that's a copy of Blood-Forged Battle Axe. Pretty nice. Champion's Helm. Equipped creature gets +2/+2. As long as equipped creature is legendary, it has hexproof. For 3 mana and 1 equip. Colossus Hammer, we all know. +10/+10, loses flying. Well, none of ours have flying. And equip 8. So we're going to try and cheat that around if we can, with either Thorin, Magnetic Theft, or Hammer of Nazan. Commander's Plate. 1 mana, equip 3 to Commander, equip 5 to not. Gets +3/+3 and has protection from each color that's not in your Commander's identity. So protection from everything but red. Very, very good in a monocolor Voltron. Conjurer's Closet. This is so we can blink Thorin and move equipment around. We don't need a whole lot of those effects. But sometimes you're going to want them. So it's a 5 mana artifact that says at the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So what this can also do is blink Thorin. Say you have a bunch of equipment attached to different creatures because of whatever reason. You've cast Thorin earlier and whatever. You've attached to different creatures. Now you can blink Thorin, attach it all to him, and then have him deal damage to up to 1 target creature this way. And just be a bit of removal by having Conjurer's Closet in there. The Cursed Mirror, a 3 mana rock artifact that enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield until end of turn with haste. Pretty good. Dwarven Hammer, another flavor must include. 3 mana artifact. Whenever Dwarven Hammer enters, you may pay 2. If you do, you create a 2/1 red Dwarf Berserker and attach the hammer to it. The equipped creature gets +3/+0 and has trample. Pretty solid. Gimli's Axe. 3 mana, equip 2 for equipped creature gets +3/+0. And as long as it's legendary, it gets menace. Pretty good. A great axe. 1 mana, equip 5 for +4/+0. Pretty simple. It's an axe. That's why it's here. The Hammer of Nazan, one of the best equipment in Magic. 4 mana, equip 4. Whenever it or another equipment enters the battlefield, you may, under your control, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. Equipped creature gets +2/+0 and indestructible. So good. Helm of the Host. This is the same kind of idea. With Helm of the Host, we get to kind of blink, not really blink Thorin, but create another Thorin that gets all the equipment attached to him, if we want, and then have it remove a creature, if we need to. The Lorien Brooch, which is Trailblazer's Boots. 2 mana, equip 2. Equipped creature has non-basic land walk. So you're pretty much going to have an unblockable creature, because everybody is playing non-basic lands. The Loxodon Warhammer. 3 mana, equip 3 for +3/+0, trample and lifelink. Pretty good. Masterwork of Ingenuity. 1 mana. Enter as a copy of any equipment on the battlefield. Very valuable. The Mithril Coat. 3 mana, flash, indestructible. When it enters, attach it to legendary creature you control. Equipped creature has indestructible for equip 3. There isn't many indestructible equipment that grant indestructible. That's why this is so valuable. So yeah. Soul Ring, we all know. Swiftfoot Boots, we all know. The Reaver Cleaver. It's a 3 mana, equip 3. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 and has trample. And whenever it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, create that many treasure tokens. Very good. It's both an axe and treasure themed. Nice. The Two-Handed Axe. It has an instant on it called Sweeping Cleave. Target creature you control gains double strike until end of turn. That's an adventure, so you can cast it, set it aside, and recast the axe itself later. And then the Two-Handed Axe itself is 3 mana, equip 2. Whenever equipped creature attacks, double its power until end of turn. So good. Blacksmith's Talent. 1 mana enchantment. It's a class. Whenever it enters, create a colorless equipment artifact token named Sword. With equipped creature gets +1/+1, and it has equip 2. 3. For level 2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, attach target equipment you control to up to 1 target creature you control. Okay. We're really here for 4. During your turn, equipped creatures you control have double strike and haste. So good. That part is why we're here. Yeah. It costs what? 4, 7, 8 mana to get there, but it's worth it. City on Fire, an 8 mana enchantment with Convoke that says if a source you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage instead. Pretty simple. We want that, because we also have Fiery Emancipation, a 6 mana enchantment that says if a source you control will deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals triple that damage to that permanent or player instead. Pretty simple. More damage. Also, has a nice dwarf with an axe on it. Gimli's Reckless Might, a 4 mana enchantment. Creatures you control have haste. It also has Formidable. Whenever you attack, if creatures you control have total power 8 or greater, target attacking creature you control fights up to one target creature you don't control. Very nice, very good blocker removal. Things like that. Gratuitous Violence, a 5 mana enchantment. If a creature you control will deal damage to a creature or player, it deals double that damage to that creature or player instead. Pretty simple. Guild Artisan, a 2 mana enchantment that says commander creatures you own have, whenever this creature attacks a player, if no opponent has more life than that player, you create 2 treasure tokens. Pretty cool. Another new card, The Last Light of Durin's Day. It is a 2 mana enchantment that says whenever a mountain you control enters, put a quest counter on this enchantment. If it has 6 or more quest counters on it, sacrifice it. If you do, search your hand. I don't know how you search your hand. Strange. And or library for a dragon card and put it onto the battlefield. If you searched your library this way, shuffle. Now you would say, why do we want that? And so would I. I don't know why it's here. I have to move it. I have to remove it. It's because it makes sense, but unless I put Smaug in this, it really doesn't make any sense. So maybe we'll put Smaug in place of one of the lesser useful ones. But this is probably going to be removed for another dwarf at some point. But it is so flavorful, I think I just kind of mindlessly put it in. Then we have Repercussion, a 3 mana enchantment that says whenever a creature is dealt damage, Repercussion deals that much damage to that creature's controller. Very fun. Discourages blocking. Then we have There and Back Again, a 5 mana saga. First step says up to one target creature can't block as long as you control the saga. The ring tempts you. Step 2 says search your library for a mountain card, put it on the battlefield, then shuffle. Easy, red ramp. Don't get a lot of that. And then 3 says create Smaug, a legendary 6/6 red dragon creature token with flying, haste, and whenever this creature dies, create 14 treasure tokens. Pretty darn good. So for our lands, our non-basics, we went with Arena of Glory. It enters tapped unless you control a mountain. Will control a mountain in all likelihood. You can exert it and add 2 red. If it's spent on a creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Pretty good. Buried Ruin. It's a colorless land, but you can pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Pretty useful. Dwarven Mine. Enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more other mountains. Okay, we probably will. When it enters the battlefield untapped, you create a 1/1 red dwarf. It's really just here for flavor. Forgotten Cave enters the battlefield tapped, but it's really here because it has cycling. So if we need a draw, we can do that. The Great Furnace is just an artifact mountain, essentially, with flavor. The Mines of Moria, legendary land. When it enters the battlefield tapped unless you control a legendary creature. You can tap it for red, or you can pay 4, tap it, exile 3 cards from your graveyard, and create 2 treasures. Notably, that's repeatable, so you can do that each turn if you're not having a lot to do to build up a chunk of mana. And then we have mountains. These are from the new set themselves. You can see, Gandalf, Bilbo, and the dwarves heading up the mountain there. Pretty cool. Rogue's Passage, pretty simple inclusion. This is actually from Final Fantasy, but to me, it almost looks like the entrance, other than the snow, that they go into Mount Doom. Pretty sweet. Snow-covered mountains, again, just for flavor. The Lonely Mountain is another new card. I don't know why it pulled up this version automatically, but you can see it ups the price of the deck considerably. Because that version's $100 right now, which is just pre-pricing, which is absurd. But it enters tapped unless you control an equipment. Well, we probably will. And for 5 and tap it, create a 2/2 red dwarf creature token. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each equipment you control, only at sorcery speed. This is the other one that was a dwarven printing. It's Treasure Vault. It's a colorless land. You can tap it for X times 2 to create that many treasure tokens. I know what Treasure Vault does. We all do. This is actually, meant to be inside the mountain. You can see Smaug all tucked up under the gold there. Then we have Valakut, the Molten Pinnacle. If you're going to make a mono red deck, you should put this in it. Valakut says it enters tapped. Whenever a mountain enters the battlefield under your control, if you control at least 5 other mountains, Valakut will deal 3 damage to any target. So good. Then War Room is a colorless land that you can pay 3 and pay life equal to the number of colors in your commander's identity. For this deck, that's 1 to draw a card. So for 3 mana and 1, we get a draw, which, we're going to want. So yeah, this was my thoughts on how to build this deck out currently. Maybe I'll give an update once we get a full deck, or full set list for the Hobbit, and we see what other dwarves might be fun to include, and see what I take out Last Light of Durin's Day for, because that doesn't do anything for this deck. But this is going to play very aggressive. It's going to play a little bit Voltron-y, but you can also play it as, I have a lot of dwarves with a lot, maybe you equip 1 axe to each of them, or 1 hammer to each of them, and you just have an army of dwarves that are equipped. That could be fun. And if you want to play it more aggressive, you can choose to, and just equip it all to Thorin and be, a dirty Voltron winner. So, hope you enjoyed this one. Hope you, maybe think about building this one yourself, or maybe you have some other ideas about what you could do with this to make it more aggressive and take it into bracket 4 or so. Maybe that's possible. I'm not sure. Haven't really looked that deep into it, but it certainly is possible with just about anything. So, let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.